The world is all the same.
A pleasant evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are joining from. Welcome to our first Level Up Your Marriage for 2025. Happy New Year to everybody. It's indeed another wonderful privilege that we have to be able to share with you on all things marriage. With my beautiful co-host sister Raquel Blake. We are alive in 2025.
That's right.
How are you doing, Raquel?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good evening. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Level Up for 2025. And we'll be leveling up some more. So we looking forward to this evening. And as usual, feel free to drop your comments in the chat, on whatever means. Share in the conversation with us. We are going to be talking about something wonderful tonight, and of course, we'll ask Paul to tell us what that topic is as we get ready.
Yes, and we are thanking brother Dexter and sister Giselle, who's part of the team, for giving us this platform where we can share in our experience and expertise in terms of marriage and relationships. And we are looking to even do greater things in 2025 and have more amazing discussions. Our subject for tonight is deliberately creating the marriage you desire. Deliberately creating the marriage you desire. Marriage is one of the most rewarding and challenging experiences that we can experience. We all have our particular desires, our goals, our objectives. Some persons want a loving marriage, some people want supportive, others want a marriage to be fulfilling. But how do we achieve this kind of relationship? I know that it is not by chance. It doesn't happen by accident. It is something that must be intentional. It must, some effort must go into it, and there must be a clear vision for the kind of relationship that you want, the kind of marriage that you want. As Proverbs chapter 24, verse 3 and 4 states, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures. And just as this proverb puts it, similarly, building the marriage that one desires requires wisdom, understanding, and deliberate action. And so we want to explore this evening what it means to intentionally create the marriage that you have always hoped for, and give you all some pointers also on how you can begin this journey if you have not yet started. Because as we said before, that marriage is a beautiful and wonderful institution. Sister Raquel.
Yes. And as you see on the screen, happiness is only real when shared.
Yes,
and
happiness
so,
is only real
when shared.
Yes.
And so, this beautiful institution, this covenant relationship called marriage. One of the first points that we want to talk about is the importance of clarifying your vision.
Yes,
and I remember the Bible verse in
without vision the people perish.
And also the importance of writing down your vision, writing down your hopes and your dreams.
That's true.
It makes a difference.
That's true. So clarifying the vision for marriage is important. In other words, you really don't things don't fall into place. You have to put them in
Yeah.
place, right?
Yes, that's right.
And I think many persons enter marriage in what I call the default mode, hoping that they can work out things as they go along.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, we don't really don't take that approach to the major part of our lives, the most important things in our lives. We really don't take that kind of approach to life. When we have goals and objectives, we write them down.
We share them with
We
others.
share them with others. We make plans for them.
Yes.
Right, some of us have our lives right down to the last detail.
We're strategic about
Yes.
it, that's a term.
Yes, we are strategic, especially when it comes to career goals and so forth.
Yeah.
We have a clear vision, a clear objective on what we want for ourselves. And we don't take that same approach when it comes to our relationships. And I'd want to say, Raquel, that for those persons who are married, I think that this is probably the most important relationship that you'll invest in. Right?
True.
Parenting is important. Your relationship with your family is also important. But there is something very unique about the marital relationship that I believe supersedes every other relationship. And we need to spend the time to invest in making this kind of relationship healthy. And so a clear vision is very important. What does it mean to what does a striving marriage look like for you and your spouse?
Yes. So,
Do we ask that question of each other?
so it begins with with a conversation.
Yes, yes.
When
It starts
people,
with the conversation.
I recall when people are dating, there's, man, the energy and the conversation is flowing and non-stop and into the wee hours of the morning. And
Yes, true.
sometimes when people get married now, they put on the ring, the conversation kind of wane, and
Wins, yes.
but definitely in terms of wanting to have a thriving marriage, marriage, being intentional about the marriage that you want,
Yes,
it means that the conversation has to continue.
yes.
You have to have honest conversations and ask some questions.
Yeah.
Just some basic questions. What kind of values do you want in your marriage?
True, yes.
What kind
And
of relationship do you want?
yeah, what is our understanding of things like emotional intimacy, spiritual growth, financial stability? All of these things combined, it should be part of the conversation. And not just conversation though, but honest conversation.
Yes.
And we know that when we talk about honest conversation, one of the things that we can also say is that these conversations are not necessarily the most comfortable conversations to have, but they are indeed important. And so we need to have these honest conversations with our spouse. Ask, what are your hopes? What are your dreams? What are your expectations? These are very important elements of clarifying the vision that you want. That is important to us.
So why do you made the point that sometimes the conversation might be a little difficult, but what do you think might contribute to? I mean, it's the question, the topic, about having a thriving relationship. It's something wonderful. So why do you think the conversation might be difficult from time to time?
I remember that I mentioned that sometimes we enter our relationships in default mode, and we often make certain assumptions that because we are in love with each other, then love conquers all. and so and so therefore we often take it for granted that things will just work themselves out, and because love conquers all, and so therefore love is the answer to all things. And what I find too is that the longer we put off having these conversations, is the more difficult they become to have. Right? And so it is very necessary that at the earliest onset in the relationship, that these things become part of the conversation. And when you have that kind of conversation often enough, it becomes more comfortable over time.
True.
Right? So a lot of times the discomfort comes from having, putting it off, and oftentimes even treating it as if it is not important until it begins to cause problems. So that for me is where the discomfort comes from. So questions like how often do we ask each other, Raquel? Even you and I, who have been married for 17 years, it's important that every now and then we ask each other what kind of relationship we want to create, rather than take it for granted that we are creating something. Because
and of course, and the relationship that we had in mind on the first year will be quite different from what we want now.
exactly, because we are growing people,
We're going
right?
people.
Our personalities change, our expectations change, our goals change, our likes and dislikes also change. And so and you would like to use the term check-in. Every now and then there must be a check-in to to
I agree.
to come to an understanding that our goals and our objectives and our vision is still the same. Because it wouldn't it also be very easy for us to be going along for years and years on, only to come to a place where you have a discussion and realize that both of you don't have the same dreams and goals and vision for the relationship, right? Whereas if you are having this conversation all along, then it is easier to know if both of you are on the same page or not. How you feel about that?
Definitely agree. And as you said that, I think about most companies. They have time every time, a particular time of the year when they pause,
Mm-hmm.
when they look at their goals, when they look at their current goals, they look at their future goals, they assess.
Yes.
Many
They,
companies,
they often call it alignment to
right,
see if the vision aligns.
and they have strategic meetings.
Yes.
They have small group meetings to kind of get everybody on board, and to really check in, are
Yeah.
we really doing the things that are in alignment with our goals?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important. I'm not saying that you need to have a call it a strategic meeting in your marriage, but of course there are some persons who do it. They have strategic meeting with their families,
Mm-hmm.
and they take time like a weekend or so to
Yes.
to check in, to
Yes.
to assess, and to make changes, or to congratulate and say, boy, we're doing well, and we're on the path to achieving our goals.
Yeah. And Raquel, without having a clear vision too, it becomes so much easier to drift apart.
True.
And also to become complacent. Because again, there is a there's a saying that says familiarity breeds contempt. Right? And it sounds like a strong phrase, but it's true that the longer couples spend time together, and especially when life changes, you have children, you have parents, and all of that, it is easy to get to that place where you only exist. You take each other for granted. And I was thinking of something today. I was reading an article today with a couple who have been married for probably about 18 years, and they are now getting a divorce. And the wife said that we have now gotten to the point where we are living like roommates. And I sat and thought about it, and I said, but if we don't spend time investing in our relationships, then that is what a lot of people will end up having.
True.
Living the roommate,
the roommate kind of life,
right? And as we said, life is life in, right? Things happen, and oftentimes we get into that space where we pay so much attention to some things, the things that we consider to be important, that in the mix, spouses often get left by the wayside. Right? And so if the vision is important, because that shared vision gives purpose and direction to the marriage,
Yes.
and it creates also that foundation for growth.
Yes.
So uh I guess for me too, the longer a couple is together, I think that the more check-ins supposed to go on.
That's true. That's true. So as we talk about clarifying the vision, what are the goals? What are your hopes and dreams?
Hmm.
Then as you do that, then the next step is that you're gonna commit.
Yes.
That there must be intentionality and the consistency that we're going to prioritize our relationship because
Yes,
the
true.
relationship is important. Then we're going to put things in place to make sure we protect our investment.
Yes.
To make sure we talk about prioritizing our time. We're talking about that we have 24 hours in the day, and we have to use them well.
Yes.
You know.
And Raquel, sometimes as we talk about making time to prioritize a relationship, sometimes we get into the space in our relationships where we think that we have time
And we
to
put it off.
to work it out, to make up. We can wait until the children are out of the house. We can wait until with our parents are no longer our responsibility. We can
wait until a project is finished.
wait until a project is finished. We can wait until we retire.
Yeah.
We can wait until we finish studying, and all of these things. And one of the things I would say is that life is always going to be happening.
True.
Right?
Exactly.
There's no time that we are not going to be less busy, or you can only become less busy if you deliberately become less busy. Right? So there is always something happening. There is work, there is children, there are responsibilities that are competing for our attention. So it means therefore that while these things are happening, we have to make deliberate effort to stop at different points in times in our relationship and look and evaluate whether or not we are putting our relationship first.
True.
Because we have this tendency to put everything else first, and it is only when the relationship hits a crisis point that we now start giving priority to our relationship, when that should not be so, right? So a strong marriage, Raquel, requires consistent effort and intentionality, right? Prioritizing, um, dedicating time to nurture our connection, right? Even if it means making sacrifices in other areas, right? And that's important.
When you talk about prioritizing, one of the first things that come to mind is that you have to schedule it.
Yes.
You talk about what if you don't schedule it, it won't happen.
Yeah.
Or it's less likely to happen, or so many things you have conflicting interests. So scheduling, people might say, that's scheduling. That's all like a work
Yeah,
word.
yeah,
That's all like something related
a
to
formality.
a formality. But with the fact that couples and as individuals we talk about the business,
Yes.
it's important that you schedule it.
Exactly.
You have to plan some time for, okay, if we're gonna go to lunch, when are we gonna go to lunch? If we're gonna have a date night, when do we want to do it? What time? Those are basic things that are necessary to preserve the relationship, to be intentional about what you want in the relationship.
I had a conversation some time ago with a wife who said that she was begging her husband to take some time from work
Mm-hmm.
to spend some time with her, and he would not, because for him work was a priority. And he said that if I don't work, the bills are not going to be paid, and the family is not going to be taken care of, and it was making her miserable. And so we have to look at this point where, what are the things that we consider to be important, right? And we often talk about, especially work, and how sometimes we sacrifice our relationships for work. And the truth is, if you fall down at work and die, I guarantee that within 2 weeks you are going to be replaced. Yeah,
But
somebody said that yes, you are a good worker, but you are going to be replaced.
but the element too is that even at work, they say you need vacation time.
You need
You need a
vacation
day
time.
off
You
or
need to
time.
unwind.
Right.
Yes.
So those principles that you can that we readily accept about work, the importance of vacation, the importance of a time off or a day off, is similarly because the relationship is one of those important things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's important now. Okay, your husband or have to take care of the family, have to work, but it also says rest time is important
True,
too.
true, true.
So it's
So
a
what?
matter of assessing what's really important
So
and
what
doing
are some?
something about
So
it.
what are some of the things that we can do, Raquel, to prioritize our relationships?
You know, we spoke earlier. Just regular date nights.
Mm-hmm.
But scheduling them because we might say, okay, we're gonna have date night in the month of January. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but when?
Yeah.
What time? Where are we going?
Yeah.
The idea is important to schedule it, and it can be just as simple even at home.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah,
that
can be
we
just as simple.
also have to decide what date night is going to look like,
Yes,
because many times
definitely.
married couples sometimes fail to go out and date each other. Well, let me not even say go out. Married couples fail to date each other because oftentimes we think that a date is only when we
Yeah,
go out.
right.
When we go out
Yeah.
and we are spending money and all of that, that is the only time when we are dating. But dating can take place in any context, anywhere at all,
True.
right? Um, a walk around the community can be a date, right? You can reserve on your weekend when you come home, like on a Friday evening, and you want to unwind. You can walk around the community. You can sit on your veranda. You
Yeah.
can play some games, whatever it is. So it doesn't have to be about going out and spending money, going out to dinner, to move to the movie and all of that. A date can take place anywhere, but it is the deliberate effort that is important,
And the honest conversation.
and
Because some
the honest
persons,
conversation.
some in this day and age, some persons, what are you talking about? Walking around the community, that's not a date. So the important conversation is necessary so that both persons can be in alignment as to
Yes.
what really date night looks
True,
like for him or
true,
her.
and
You know.
that is so important. So having regular date nights is important. Setting aside time for daily check-ins and to share thoughts and feelings, and I know that is one of your big things. Um, so often I talk to couples who will tell you that they are at work for the entire day and they don't hear from their spouse. And for me personally, that is a very strange thing. I don't think we have ever gone an entire day without even
Checking in.
calling each other and asking what's up, right? Yeah, even a conversation that lasts a half a minute, right, is
Just
is
checking
good.
in.
Just
I'm
just
thinking
to
about
check in,
you.
right?
Although I'm working, I'm pausing to tell you
Yeah.
I love you, I appreciate you.
So
So
that
checking in.
yeah, that check-in
Those
is
make a
important.
difference too.
It is important.
Yes, man.
And in this day and age, it doesn't even have to be a call necessarily. It can be a text. It can be a WhatsApp message. It can be a silly
Silly
sending a
video.
spouse a silly video, or um reminding them of something that they did that you remember, or
Or
something like that. But
some
it
kind of
is
music, some kind of poem, anything that sends a message that I care about you, I'm thinking about you, you're important to me.
yes. For me, Raquel, that check-in is an element that helps to grow the connection,
True.
that
Yeah.
helps to strengthen the connection.
Yeah.
And so I think we shouldn't minimize the impact that checking in has. Yeah, just we have couples. I think you and I do it sometimes. Well, most times, because when we are out and we leave early in the morning, and if I am at home by the time you get to work, you will send me a text that you are at work, or I will call you and ask you if you are there yet. And that kind of thing is important. And that is something that I believe must happen throughout the day in our relationship, because it is what I think it's what fuels the relationship.
Definitely. And it says I care about you. It says that
Yes.
in the midst of my business, I'm letting you know
Mm-hmm.
that there's this one person over here who's your friend, who's your wife,
Yes.
who's your champion.
True. Yes,
So
I agree. I
it
agree.
makes a difference.
Right.
It makes a difference.
Engaging in shared activities. What you think about that?
Yes, because
Well,
sometimes.
I'm not into the exercising part,
Well, shared activities, can include any hobbies, like the exercise
Yes.
or like taking and going on and driving out,
True.
take
Yes.
make a road trip, linking up with linking up with friends, doing something that we both enjoy.
Going outside and walking around the yard and look if the
Looking at
yard still
yeah,
the same.
looking at you, looking at the garden, taking a breather to say, okay, let us sit under the mango tree, you know. But of course, we're looking for the lizards in the meantime. But the idea is, just as when you look at some persons, some elderly, some people are married like for 50 odd years. Just sitting together
Mm-hmm.
makes a big difference.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
sitting together, being in each other's presence. Those are simple things that are priceless, priceless. But also the element of the spiritual side. You can do have Bible discussions. We can pray together. One of the thing I want to pause here is that it makes a difference when a husband says to his wife, "Let's pray. I'm going to pray for you,"
Mm-hmm.
or even though they're not doing it together, when he makes deliberate time to say, "What can I pray for you? How can I pray for you today?" Or the wife says to her husband, what can I put before the Lord today on your behalf?
Yeah.
Simple things like that can have
Yes.
a profound impact
Yes.
on one's marriage and sends a positive message that, we're deliberate about preserving this
Yes.
great relationship that we have.
Yes. True. Very true. Very true. So, yeah, as we have the discussion, let just remind our audience that you can engage us on the platform. If you have a comment or a question, you can simply type it in the chat, and we will respond to it. We look forward to engaging our audience. It is very important that we engage our audience. When we prioritize each other in the relationship, what we are actually doing is reinforcing the bond between us and our spouses.
Yeah.
And I like what Galatians chapter 6 verse 9 says, in reminding us. It says, let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So small intentional acts of love can really reap significant results. It's not necessarily the big things that we do that make a difference, but the small things, and that is important. But Raquel, another point is the importance of committing to personal and relationship growth.
Yes.
Is that part of the whole thing also? uh, Marriage is by no means a perfect science, right?
And similarly, motherhood and fatherhood doesn't come with a manual.
Doesn't
Marriage
come
doesn't
in a
come with a
manual.
manual.
Marriage itself, even though there are many books that are written
Hmm.
on marriage, but it's what you put into it that you will get out of it. And so there must be a commitment to growing, to because it is this growth that helps to navigate challenges and help us to become stronger, right? And growth itself can take many forms, and that is important. Growth can take the form of spiritual, emotional, or even or practical. And so this is what helps the relationship to become stronger, right? When we focus on things like communication, learning how to manage conflict, are working together to have financial stability. These are the things that help us. So here's another thing that we often don't look at, Raquel. We often speak of growth in terms of the relationship together, but we don't look at the fact that growth also is personal.
Yes, definitely.
Because before we can grow together, we have to grow individually.
Yes, we have to be committed to growing.
Right? We have to be committed to growing individually. And so there must be self-improvement. There must be the working through of our different issues.
Yes.
Right? Because oftentimes it is because of our failure to grow individually that cause a problem in the relationship itself.
Yes, true.
Right?
True.
And it is easy. It is one of the easiest things as human beings to settle for being who you think you are.
You know, so that's why, and one of the cautions that, as when couples should remember that they should impress on each other the importance of maintaining their individuality.
Yes, very true, very true.
Don't encourage your husband and your wife not to lose themselves into each other.
Yes.
It's important to maintain your individuality, maintain um your opinions, maintain who you are, because it's by doing that, by being committed to personal growth, that it enhances the relationship.
Yes, very true,
It
very
adds
true.
energy. It makes it interesting, because I know how I'm not just um depleting on everything from you. I'm adding to the relationship.
Yes,
I'm
very
adding
true.
to your value in the same way
Very
that you're
true.
adding to my value.
When I counsel couples, when I prepare couples for marriage, I often tell them that um, yes, you are married to this individual and you're expected to grow together, but you're not their twin. Right?
Exactly.
Right. And we often we tell persons that you have to be involved with each other, but you are not expected to become a mirror image of the other person.
That's right.
Right? You are expected to be an individual, right? You don't lose yourself in somebody else simply because you're married to them.
Yes.
So your own personal growth is important. And one of the things, as we speak about personal growth, Raquel, um, when we are in the dating stage and when we enter into early marriage, we all come into the relationship with some bad habits and things that need to work through. And the longer you are together with this person is that you also need to give attention to working through these things. Right? Because it is also what's going to help the relationship to become better.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
So you shouldn't enter a marital relationship with a habit that you know that is going to affect your relationship with your spouse, and 20 years after that you're still the same person with the same habit. Right? And expect that your spouse is just going to simply live with you because that is how you are. Right? The Bible speaks much about growth.
Yes.
Right? Putting off the old man and put on the new man. And
Yes.
so our personal growth is important. And the truth is, if we are invested in the betterment of the relationship, then it means that whatever it takes, we are going to do to make sure that the relationship grows.
Definitely. Definitely. Which means that there are so many things that if we put a poll out there, what are some things that couples can do to invest in their growth?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we would receive countless feedback, countless comments,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them would include, going to marriage enrichment seminars.
True, yes, marriage
So,
enrichment seminars, workshops. I remember back in our time when we were dating, we went to quite a few marriage
We do
workshops, and we still read a lot of books and stuff on marriage. And I
I
think
know podcasts
and
are so popular.
podcasts are all about the place. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, based on if we can share our experiences, Raquel, it is our garnering of this kind of information over the years that has helped us to the point now that we can now engage other persons
and
in
give back.
helping them to better their relationship,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
So and one of the things that I look at when people have this idea, especially those persons who don't really believe in marriage, that the longer you spend with a person, then your relationship is kind of going to fizzle out until, as we talked about before, you reach the roommate stage. But that is really not true,
So you have to
right?
come up with a strategy to make sure that does not happen.
That you have to come up with a strategy to make sure
that it doesn't
that doesn't happen.
That's
So
right.
you have to do what it takes to make sure that the relationship continues to grow.
Yes.
Attend the workshops. These things help you to focus and strengthen your relationship.
Yeah. Reading books and you can't go around when you have conversations with people. You talk about
Sitting
people.
and talking to persons who are older than you are, who
Yes.
have been in this thing a long time.
Yes, man.
Right, I remember I used to love talking to Brother Walker and Sister Walker so much.
Yes.
And they had so much wisdom between the two of them. Sister Walker is still alive, Brother Walker is no longer with us. But they had so much wisdom between both of them, spending 50 odd years together. And so we want to encourage our audience also that if you want a strong, healthy marriage, it means that you have to also get some mentorship.
Yes.
You have to get some coaching. You have to talk to your counselors. And I was thinking of this today, Raquel.
Mhm.
Is counseling only for crisis? Do you only go for marriage counseling when you're in a crisis?
Generally, that's what people do.
See, but is that true though? No.
No. So that's the idea is that it's important to be proactive, rather
Proactive.
than
That's right.
reactive.
That's right.
We,
Right.
we wanted people to remember now in the same way that you plan and you go to the dentist before you get a decay.
Yes.
You service the car.
Yes, you service a car before it starts, making noise, right?
Yeah, so it's important now to be deliberate. We're talking about deliberately creating the marriage we want. Part of being deliberate in creating the marriage we want is that you're committing to say, I'm going to do whatever is necessary to make this relationship grow, to help myself to go first,
True, yes.
and then to add value to this relationship.
You already know
this
that
marriage.
I am a big advocate for postmarital counseling. I believe that premarital counseling is important. I believe every couple that's going to get married should do some amount of premarital counseling because I think it sets the stage for having a healthy relationship. But I also believe that the majority of the challenges come after that wedding day. And especially within that first 2-3 years of marriage, the adjustment period. And I find that is the point in time that a lot of couples don't pay attention to.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that if more couples were focused on paying attention to those first 5 years of marriage, then a lot of marriages would do better. A lot of relationships would last longer time if persons take the time out to deal with those what you call the growing pains.
Yes,
of the relationship.
And that's that's one of the purpose of these conversations.
Mhm.
In terms of level up your marriage, is conversation is that when we do our counseling session, is that we're encouraging couples to take a proactive approach.
Yes.
We're encouraging from the get go that counseling. We're going to attend a workshop. We're going to read a chapter, depending on what the challenge is, or depending on what an area for development, because it's not always about a conflict. It's not always about a challenge. It can be an area that we know that we want to grow.
Exactly.
Let's say we realize that both of us have need help with money management, or need help with setting better ways to set goals so we can really achieve them. Let's say we have issues in terms of parenting. We want to be better parents.
Or you just reach a point where both of you just feel burnout.
How are we gonna recharge?
How are you going to recharge? Because again, Raquel, we hold in this to this fantasy of relationships that oftentimes we forget that relationships go through lull moments,
Yes,
lull times,
yes,
when the fire is not burning as brightly as it should, and that is a time when couples need to stop and evaluate and recharge.
definitely,
Right?
definitely.
And oftentimes the reason why we end up in crisis, Raquel, is that we don't pay attention to these lull moments when we need to recharge. And rather than do something about it, we simply ignore it and hope that the fire is going to catch some further down the line, right? But the truth is, if you have coal in a stove burning, and if you don't fan it, what's going to happen?
It's gonna die.
It's gonna die.
For sure,
Right?
it's gonna die.
You have to go and you have to fan it to make sure that the fire begins to spread again.
Sometimes you have to add some more
Sometimes you
coal,
you have to add some more coal to the pot, right? Or you might add a little fuel
Yes,
or something.
yes.
And if we understand that about these physical things, why is it that we don't understand the same when it comes to our relationship? And we know that, especially in terms of parenting, we know that when children come into the picture, um and this is something that I tell couples when I prepare them for marriage. I encourage them not to have children for at least the first 2 years of the relationship, 3 if you can manage, because that period of adjustment is important.
True.
That period of getting to know one another is important, because the minute child or children comes into the picture, the relationship changes.
Right, and it changes, and if you don't have the solid foundation, then it can
Right.
really
We
fall
always
apart.
joke, Raquel, that when you have children, you lose a name, right? So you are no longer Raquel or Paul. You're
Charles, Charles' parent,
yes,
your mother or father.
you're Timothy's mother or Timothy's father,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of people lose themselves in that period of time, and there's a strain on the relationship. We also talked about the fact that when the emptiness syndrome, that a lot of marriages fall apart when children leave home,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Because you would have been investing in rearing those children or child for those many years, and when they depart, when they leave home, what a lot of people discover many times is that you have two virtual strangers in the house, because they didn't take time to invest in their relationship while they were raising child or children. And that is important. So I mean, if you should look at the divorce rate when children leave home, you'll be surprised that it spikes at that point in time.
And of course, and when you made that point, it's just so strange that people don't take the warning. Others have shared it. Those people have lived it, and many people ignore,
Yeah,
and then ignore just the basic facts of life,
Yes.
the basic facts about relationships. That you go through lull period, you go through highs, you go through lows, but then they're like blinded their eyes or their
Yeah.
mind to the fact that, okay, there's gonna come a point in my relationship, in my marriage, when I'll need help. I will need to do things differently. I will need to change. I will need to improve. I mean, and those are basic things. So
Right.
why
These
do we
things
fool
these things
ourselves?
shouldn't take you by surprise,
Exactly.
right?
Because
And if we are
exactly.
spending time deliberately creating the kind of relationships that we want, then it will not catch us by surprise. Right? Lastly, Raquel, as we begin to wrap up, honoring God in our relationships, honoring God in our marriages,
Yes.
very big part of it. Right? This is a Christian program. This is a program where everything that we discuss comes from a godly perspective, because we believe that marriage was designed by the Almighty God.
Yes.
And so
You have to look to him
a part of deliberately creating the marriages and relationships that we desire is that we must make sure that our relationship is honoring God.
Yes.
Must be rooted in the values and principles of the Word of God. Right? Christ, it must be Christ centered. It must bring um, a deeper purpose and unity for our partners, and unity with God.
Yes.
That is important. Marriage is absolutely important to God. The only other relationship that God describes as is the family.
Yes, and he compares the church.
And he
that
compares the
relationship
church,
between
that
the husband
relationship
and
with
wife.
himself and the church and Christ.
Yeah.
He compares it to a marital relationship. And so it is absolutely important for us to make sure that our marriages are honoring God. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25 to 23 to 33
Tells you how to honor, right?
tells us how to honor our each other, so that we can honor God. And the two greatest things, wives,
love your husband.
Submit to your own husbands, and husbands, love
your
wives. And I like what Paul says when he says to the husband. He says, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her.
Yes.
Now, that biblical text shows us that when the love that Christ had for the church, or has for the church, is one that is unconditional and sacrificial.
Yes, definitely.
And that is the responsibility that we have towards our spouses. Notice again, Paul says, wives, love, respect or submit. No, but notice what he says, to your own husbands. And I believe Paul was very deliberate in choosing those words. Because we have a tendency in the present world that we live in, and I see it in marital relationships every day. Wives will respect their bosses, they will respect their ministers and the men that they consider to be important. But if you understand what Paul says the greatest honor that we can show to God is when we love our wives, and when wives respect their husbands. And that is what honors God.
Yes.
Right? So we can give honor to everybody else around us, and it is not pleasing to God. But God says our honor for him must begin in honoring our spouses, because that is what helps to honor him. And so it is important for us, Raquel.
And as we do, as you do that, people are always looking on.
People are always looking on.
Inspire them.
Our marriages must be an example, a light to the world.
Yes, inspiration to others.
I believe, Raquel, when as Christians, when our relationships fall apart, we do a dishonor to God.
True.
Right? When we don't work on our relationships, when we don't make deliberate effort to make sure that our relationships continue to grow and honor God, we do God a disservice.
We do. But people don't look at it like that, People don't really see it like that. But it's such an important point to make, because God is the author. He created this institution.
Yes.
And he told us how to make it work.
Yes.
He told us how to honor him by honoring each other,
so,
husband and wife.
Praying together is important.
Yes.
Studying the Bible together is important. And serving one another is important, because these are the things that align with God's plan for our lives. So honoring God is important, right? Because it sets an example to the world that is looking on. Right? By living out our faith through our marriage, we are also inspiring others to seek God's guidance in their own
In their own way,
relationships.
that's right. You know,
So we do understand the power that we have as
when people
Christians.
look at a marriage, they should say, "Man, I want that for myself."
Yes,
And
yes.
and believe and know that it's possible.
It is possible.
It's possible.
But that's true.
It's
That's
possible.
true. That's
You
true.
know.
So as we wrap up,
Wow, the time is up on us
the
already.
time is up on us already.
Wow.
We want to have more of these discussions this year. Our first discussion tonight has been deliberately creating the marriage that you desire. And we spoke about clarifying your vision for your marriage.
Yes, making time. We also spoke about that.
Making time to prioritize your relationship. And we spoke about committing to personal and relationship growth. And we also talked about honoring God with our relationships. Marriage is challenging, and just like everything else in life is challenging.
But it's also rewarding.
But marriage is also very rewarding. You have to put in the work to get the reward.
That's right.
Right? And if you put in the work, the reward will come. And God will be glorified in the process. Wherever you have joined from tonight, this has been Level Up Your Marriage. And we want to let you know that you are indeed very, very important to us, because without you, we would not have this program. If you have a question or comment, you can always email us at levelupyourmarriagecoc@gmail.com. That's levelupyourmarriagecoc@gmail.com. Or you can contact us by the phone. Our numbers are 876-385-7217. That's 876-385-7217. Or 876-421-6722. That's 876-421-6722. This has been Develop Your Marriage. Paul and Raquel Blake coming to you from the island of Jamaica. Until next time, God bless.
Take care. Be deliberate.